we going live in just about now? We're live. Yeah, look at that.
We're live.
On. My YouTube is up here waiting to double check, but yeah, it looks like we're going for it.
That's what I like to hear.
I'm going to pregame the Banthamilk a little bit here.
Oh, and I see it on my screen as well now, so it looks like YouTube.
Hello to all Ice Cold 1776. Before we have even started this epic show, here's a shout out
thank
to you,
you.
my friend. Shout out to you.
Oops.
Got to turn your volume down, Mr. Spear. Come on now.
Uh-oh.
Amateur hour. Bush League.
Yeah.
Rookie.
He's
got the toys. He
There we
doesn't
go.
have the poise.
Man, some people, what can I say?
All
How
right.
dare they? All right.
I think we're about ready to start the show, folks.
Okay, here come the intros. Intro music.
Wait, that's not it.
What?
He's no good to me, Daddy.
Intro music. Intro music.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
The most complicated of professions, and yet here we are once again. Banter, Beskar, and Banthamilk, a Mandalorian podcast, April 1st, coming at you live from here in Banthamilk headquarters with a huge show. Rob,
Huge show.
Eric, are you ready?
This show. If there's ever a show of ours to listen to, this is the show.
Yeah,
This will be the biggest show ever.
Yeah, we have a huge announcement to make. We are a Star Wars podcast, obviously, but when something like this happens in an adjacent genre, we have to jump ship.
Yes.
I might actually reconsider the whole topic of our podcast going forward, honestly, because I mean Mandalorian at this point. But listen.
Oh no.
Listen. It's a big day for me. I grew up.
How come I
dropped
out?
We'll talk about it. What happened, Mr. Spear? Oh, it looks like Mr. Spear is having some internet issues over there. I hope we get him back, Eric. But we do have Eric here. Eric, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Nick?
I'm just great. Eric, friend of the podcast, and maybe my new co-host, considering Rob is having some trouble getting his act together over there.
Yeah, we didn't hit pictures until much later last time I was on.
Yeah, this is how it goes in 2021, but it's a big day and we want to get this news out there. Hopefully Mr. Spear rejoins us. Hold tight there, everybody. We are waiting. Avengers Hockey calls him a rookie. Avengers Hockey is a heckler. Comes on here and yells at Rob all the time, but I get it. I really do. I think Mr. Spear is... I dropped out. He just left.
Completely. All right.
What a guy. That Rob. Here he is.
Hey.
That was really weird.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
It's so very good to have you back, Rob. Eric and I were just talking about the contract for him to replace you.
Hey, you know what? He didn't drop out, so I don't see any reason to keep me around.
That's true.
And the weirdest part about it is I'm plugged into the wired network and everything. Like, I'm not even running on Wi-Fi right now, and it still dropped out.
Listen,
Wow.
Your internet literally can't handle the news we're about to drop. So
This
I
news
think
is so big.
I think we got to get into our drink and we got to get into our social media so we can drop this news. Rob, drop some knowledge on us. Where can people get a hold of us?
That's a great question. I'm glad
I guess I'll tell everybody since you're behind in the times here.
Here you go. Why don't you tell us where we can get it? Let's not
Rob's
do
got his
that. Oh, my
buttons
goodness.
crossed.
Oh, no.
I am here. Let's try this. Now, Nick, tell us where they can find us.
Hey, if you're interested in more Star Wars info, want to chat, or even want to send us some Star Wars drink recipes, please be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms. You can catch us on Instagram and Facebook at Banthamilk Podcast, Twitter at Banthamilk. You can email us at banthamilkpodcast@gmail.com, or even check out our website, banthamilkpodcast.com.
And don't forget to check out our sister podcast over at the Ears Up Network. Our friends over at Ears Up help us a whole lot, so give them and their many shows a listen. Their shows include Ears Up in Depth, The Supreme Resort, and Scraping the Vault. Also be sure to check out their Patreon at patreon.com/ears with a Z up. For as little as $2 a month, you can help support our show. Any donations sent their way directly help us here at Banthamilk Podcast and comes with great perks. So please check them out today.
Check him out. Indeed, we do have a friend of ours from the Ears Up Network. Eric is here with us. Thank you for joining us, Eric.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is pretty stellar. I can't wait.
Yeah, man. So,
I just wanted to say real fast, it's very important that we have Eric here because not only is Eric part of the Ears Up Network, but all this news that we're about to drop, Eric was actually on the set the first time that this show that we're about to talk about was filmed. He was the assistant to the key grip during the first filming of this. So he has a lot of inside knowledge. And he definitely has even more knowledge about what's going to happen in the second version of said movie that we're about to talk about.
Rob, you're being so coy. You're being such a tease, my friend. Raise your Banthamilk, gentlemen.
Oh my.
Raise this Banthamilk on high. We've got Tonewood. Is that what I see? Tonewood Brew?
Tonewood,
I used to live
which is
near Tonewood.
Yes, it's a local New Jersey small brewery here, and this is the Fuego because this show is on fire.
Yes, indeed.
So I have the Fuego.
Eric, what are you drinking?
Drink.
What do you got?
I've got a Manhattan here, but since I know one of your sponsors is 21st Amendment, I do have a spark-aled, sparkling tropical ale in case I finish that.
Oh,
nice.
And you just may. Rob's got it. There it is. Rob had to pop that. And I have to just take a sip of my customary Banthamilk, my bourbon, while I talk about the big news of the day. The reason that you are all here. Drop the Deuce of News says, I really can't, this one person, SCOXOCS, has been in our socks. I'm going to call you Socks from now on because it's told me to drop the Deuce of News, and here we will go. And I am going to exclusively report that according to Totally Real News today, Spaceballs 2, the search for more money, is currently in development as a joint venture between Netflix, Disney Plus, and Outback Steakhouse. According to inside sources, Mel Brooks has had this script finished since the beginning of 2008, but he did not want to begin production until, and I quote, Pizza the Hut out-pizzaed the Hut. Now, it is just huge news here for us in the Banthamilkosphere.
Yes.
So I know I want to make sure we're all mentally prepared to get into some discussion on this because I grew up with Spaceballs as a child. It was literally my favorite movie. I watched that more. I've certainly watched Spaceballs more times than I've watched any of the Star Wars movies, and that's just the truth.
I think I could probably say the whole thing line by line as well. I've seen it so many times. And as I so coyly tried to announce earlier, Eric was actually there when they filmed the first one. So
assistant to the key grip, not the assistant key grip.
That's a very key distinction from what I understand.
There's a big difference there.
Yes.
So Eric was there on the set, so he has a whole bunch of great inside knowledge that he can tell us as well, which we're looking very forward to hearing some of those inside little key grip snippets that you could share with us. Whenever you're ready, whenever you hear or something pops into your head, any memory that you have, just throw it out there and just let us know what when we did this and we did that and blah blah blah, and who actually came up with some of the ideas would be amazing. Like whatever you want to throw out there, it's all you. That's why we have you here, Eric, for you to.
Eric's our insider in the industry. I've got a couple news. It's been a flurry of news all day, really, with regard to this bombshell, really. The casting is still kind of up in the air from what I understand. There's been some swirlings. There has been one really interesting one that I just wanted to throw out there. Because as we know, unfortunately, the late, great John Candy cannot obviously reprise his role. Now, I did find in a surprise casting announcement, Christian Bale has been confirmed in filling the shoes of the late John Candy.
Okay.
As his own best friend, the lovable Mog Barf. He was asked about the challenge preparing for the role, and he said the hardest part so far has been growing the tail. So
I understand. Yeah.
I mean, Christian Bale's been so known for drastically changing his body, really dependent on what's going on for the role. So I think that's a pretty interesting choice. But I mean, I'm not here to judge. I'm not in the industry.
Well, there has been some pictures of Christian Bale recently where he has looked a little bit heftier than he has been in the past.
Interesting.
So now that we know why, now we can see why he's willing to put on an extra 85, 90 pounds for this role. So that's awesome that he decided to do that. So I'm very impressed with his dedication to his art. It is brave, yes.
It really is brave. And I am a performer, and I understand this physical toll it can take on your body. So good for him. Good for Christian.
In the end, right?
What's that?
It's worth it in the end. It's the practical effects that make
exactly
make all so great. It's not full of CGI. It's all practical. That said, Pizza the Hut. Little known fact. Pizza the Hut in the original film was a hologram.
Oh,
and that's why he'll be back this time. They have a lot of Dom DeLuise footage just right there,
just waiting.
Hologram. Yeah,
nice. That is interesting because I assumed they might use some deep fake technology for Barf, which it doesn't look like. But so now, what are some of the casting now that I think about it that are going to need that deep fake technology? Because there have been quite a few who have passed away. Dom DeLuise being obviously one of them.
Yeah, Joan Rivers.
Yeah, we're going to need some. Some
for dot matrix.
Yeah, dot matrix.
Yeah.
Great.
Ben Patton is gone, or King Roland.
Oh, King Roland to Lone Star.
King Roland. Yes,
man. Well, I mean, technology today. I don't put it past anybody.
What about Jim J. Bullock? Is he still around? The sleeping prince.
Yes,
is that who that
was?
Yeah, that was Jim J. Bullock. Was
still alive?
Was he actually a name? I don't know. I was very young in the 80s.
He was. Yes, he was. He was a name in the 80s.
Come
he was.
Back.
Yeah. he had his own. He was in a sitcom during that time and stuff. Yeah, he was very very out there. Now I did hear rumors that he was going to be the next villain. He was going to be teaming up with Lone Star and what's the Princess of Druidia? What was her name? The one
Princess
that he married
Vespa.
at the end. Princess Vespa. Princess Vespa and Lone Star's son and him are going to be the new villains in this, kind of like Kylo
Ben
Ren
Solo
and
sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, I kind of like that. So maybe he'll have dark helmets, like kind of decrepit shell of a, because it got blown off, and obviously the people on the 8th planet probably dented it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Really
Rick Moranis.
It really does open up a lot of doors for a lot. And Rick Moranis did just get beat up in the streets recently, right?
Yes, he sure did. So
he probably has a couple dents.
But
now Avengers Hockey brings up an interesting lore bit that Pizza the Hut ate himself to death. Right? So
that's fine. I mean, I don't know the exact story beats that are going to bring him back, but
I mean, it could be, let's think about the Emperor, right? Maybe he transferred his essence into another doughy-like substance.
Into a clone, yeah.
Maybe he'll come back stronger than ever as Stromboli the Hut.
And he did. You did see, a lot of the food was falling off of his face as he was standing there talking and stuff. So they could have taken some of
that scene without wanting pizza,
the cheese and the pizza falling off of him and cloned it, and that's how they bring back the new Pizza the Hut. It will be the clone of him by the little bit of food that fell off of him. It's very
considering how much he was falling apart. I mean, he could have been a poor quality clone at that time. And
exactly.
The technology's just gotten better.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and now what they need is a dyad in the Schwartz in order to return him to his full power. Man, there is honest to God, they have so much to pull from.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be a great movie. I do have another news story I just wanted to bring to light because obviously with a big expansive universe like this, there's going to be some interesting stuff that comes out of it. Now, Lil Nas X, rapper Lil Nas X, has been in the news recently. He's actually facing some backlash over Spaceballs II in response to his involvement with the announcement, because parents around the world were stunned when the hip-hop star released a line of rollerblades that contained a sample of real raspberry jam. Real raspberry jam in them, and when confronted about this new line of inline skating equipment, the rapper responded, "Only one man would have dare given y'all the raspberry."
That's true.
Wow.
Yes.
Some hard words, and he seems really unapologetic about it.
He sure does. And I don't blame him, because I mean, if you're going to jam somebody's radar, make sure you use the raspberry jam and then put that right into the rollerblades as well. So it makes perfect sense to me.
But don't you think he realizes that his primary audience is largely children?
That's okay.
Shouldn't he think about the fact, what sort of a message is this sending?
that you can rollerblade and have jam at the same time.
I'm trying to use my Tucker Carlson eyebrows. What kind of message is this sending? Sorry.
What kind of message is this sending?
Anyway, it's just really interesting bit of news coming out because it's really an all-expansive thing. From what I understand, this isn't just a movie, right? They're launching an entire Spaceballsiverse.
There is, yes.
Rob has some coverage on a really interesting facet of all of this.
Yes. So Universal. Let me get all of my notes here. Sorry,
Rob
about
is
that.
diligent note taker.
Yes. So Universal Studios, not to be outdone by Star Wars Land Galaxy's Edge in Disney, they have 20 acres set aside behind the Men in Black ride that they're setting up a $500 million expansion with a $100 million roof that they're planning on building. Wait.
So $500 million and a $100 million roof?
Yes.
So is that on top of the $500 million?
Yes. So the $500 million is for all the rides, but then they're going to build a roof over top of it, made out of 2-inch acrylic plastic. It's going to be a complete dome that covers the whole land with a hole in the middle that will retract and open up. And sitting on top of this acrylic dome is Mega Maid. She will be all the way up there. This structure alone is going to be the second tallest structure in all of America.
So are you saying that we can actually, like, upping the realism over their Harry Potter stuff and all the Nintendo land that they're building, they're actually going to give us the ability to experience asphyxiation inside
on
a giant
massive scale.
On a massive scale. Wow. That's immersion.
That is immersion. And twice a day, the maid moves over the hole, and in the morning, she's on suck, and she starts sucking the air out. So when you're standing in there, you can feel the air going up above you as it's being sucked out. And then in the afternoon, they flip the switch, and then she will start blowing the wind back down on you. So she will start blowing it back down.
Well,
so
I can't wait to see the trees coming back down. Mm-hmm. That's going to be incredible.
Yes, it's going to be unbelievable. So
can you tell us a little more about the park?
Yes, let me tell you more about the park. So I found very rough original sketches of the park that somebody drew. So they drew this. This is what they drew to turn in to the Parks Commission and into Orlando City Council of what they expect their park to look like. Okay, so they expect to have this all done by their movie release date of April 5th, 2022. That's going to employ it's going to employ 1,200 more employees. Okay, it's going to replace the Epic Universe. Did you hear about Epic Universe land that they were going to build?
Oh, so they're scrapping that whole project. Wow.
It's completely scrapped, and they're replacing it with this because they stopped working on it because of the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. And then in the meantime, they completely erased it and started going with this. So with that being said, I found some articles. In an article in the Orlando Sentinel, they said this was going to be the single best thing to happen to Orlando since Shaq was drafted to the Magic in 1992. And, I mean, we all know how big Shaq is. Shaq is very big. So
he's big. I'm an LSU alumni. Shaq's huge.
Yeah, so he's huge. Comcast.
Literally. He's a
literally.
Big guy.
He is a very big guy. He's like 7 feet tall and like
at least
400 pounds, yes. Comcast Chief Financial Officer Mike Cavanaugh said he was very excited for this new park to open, and he expected it should bring in 3 times as many guests to the Universal theme parks as they had in 2020.
I mean, how tough can that really be, though? I mean, 2020 wasn't exactly a banner year for amusement parks, but you know what?
Good point.
Shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the moon. Rick Schnee, a local resident, said when he found out that this park was coming, the first thing that he did was buy the premier annual pass, even though this park won't open for another year. He's like, I'm going now. I got it now. And then another local resident, Josh Slavitt, said that he immediately put in his application to audition to be Mog, the most lovable character in the series. Universal said they will employ 25 different cast members to play Mog, because they have different times and days and
Are we saying
stuff like
Barf
that.
the Mog? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, Barf the Mog. Yes, he's auditioning to be Barf. He said he was born to play this role, and you can see his YouTube clips at Josh the Mog is his YouTube channel where he dresses up like Barf and he acts like him and stuff like that. And I've seen a bunch of them, and he's really funny.
All right. I like it. I guess they couldn't get Christian Bale to run around the amusement park.
No, they could not. So, but real quick, I'm going to go through some of the rides and everything that they have.
Give me some of the attractions. I really want to know how I can experience the Spaceballsiverse in person.
So, when you go into the entrance, it says above the entrance, Spaceballs the land, okay? And it says, welcome to Druidia. So, you're thinking that you're going into the planet Druidia. When you first enter, there's Spaceballs the gift shop, where they're going to sell all of their swag.
Ooh.
Spaceballs the TV shirt or TV.
Spaceballs the toilet paper,
Spaceballs
right?
The toilet paper. Spaceballs the T-shirt. That's what I was trying to say.
Right. Spaceballs the flamethrower.
Spaceballs the flamethrower will be sold, but it will be. It's a bubble gun. Spaceballs the flamethrower will be a bubble gun. Yes.
That's really lame. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed.
Does it light up?
But we don't.
Light up.
We don't get a real lightsaber at Galaxy's Edge either.
We do not. You can't actually slice somebody's arms off at Galaxy's Edge. So, but yes,
not yet. Anyway.
The flame, not yet. No. Yogurt, frozen yogurt. With this, okay. You can meet yogurts right next to that. There's a lot of meet and greets in here.
Merchandising.
Yes. On the other side is Lone Star's Steakhouse.
Okay.
There was a restaurant that went defunct, I think Nick said in 2017.
Yeah, not too long ago. Lone Star Steakhouse, yeah.
Lone Star Steakhouse, yes. They tried to get that name, but they couldn't get that actual name, so they just put an apostrophe S at the end of it.
Belongs to Lone Star.
Now it's
his
Lone
steakhouse.
Star Steakhouse, yeah.
It's actually just like a grill inside of Winnebago, probably. I don't know. It'd be pretty cool, though. Can you go into Winnebago? Like, are we able to actually going to be able to ride the Winnebago?
So right out front of the Winnebago, you will be able to meet Lone Star. There's going to be a full-size Winnebago out front, and then there's the Ludicrous Speed the ride right behind it, where you will be piloting the Winnebago and flying on, hopefully getting all the way to Ludicrous Speed, which will turn plaid. So
wow, yeah, going to plaid, that's got to be the high score.
Yeah, so not every time you ride it. Every time you ride it, it's going to be different. You have to make sure that you program everything the right way, and if you program it the right way, it will turn plaid inside. Behind it is going to be Spaceballs the roller coaster, which I have some facts about Spaceballs the roller coaster if you want to hear them.
I definitely do.
Of course.
Spaceballs the roller coaster will show you what it feels like to be Spaceballs on this deeply intensive 50-mile-per-hour juggernaut that is definitely not for the timid. Show your strength and bravery as you take on Spaceball's criminal element. You're about to fight crime suspended from an overhead track with your feet just dangling free in the air, following a 10-story lift to the top of the world. Brace yourself for a full 360-degree loop right off the bat. You're a galaxy superhero. You don't need to warm up. After escaping that obstacle, now there's a fully inverted roll, then a second loop waiting for you about 10 seconds later. Next, you'll be pounded by a double set of wingovers and corkscrew descents with enough G-force to plaster you to your seat. How do a whopping 4 Gs sound?
4 Gs?
4 Gs, because that's what you'll be taking right about now.
My wife's phone is 5G. That's almost 5G. That's amazing.
Don't you pass 5G?
Oh, God. I got 5G injected into my arm, I think.
There, he probably did. Because that's what you'll be talking about right now. All in all, you'll face a mind-warping 5 inversions. Watch the ground under your dangling feet whip around as the city below flops over and over through a tightly packed series of gravity-defying twists that will grind you into submission, just like the criminals of Spaceballs. So that is their description of what the roller coaster is. It sounds very intense.
Grinded into submission is not
grinded into.
Necessarily love at the end of a ride, but I'm usually more of a teacups kind of guy.
Oh, well, luckily there's the Lord Helmet sit and spin. So you can And just like the teacups,
How
he will
lucky
stand
for
in
us.
Lord Helmet sit and spin. On the other side of the park, there will be the Druidia Castle. It's going to be a dark ride. Okay, so not really sure, but maybe something like a haunted mansion type thing, like a haunted Druidia's castle. For the kids, don't worry. There's the Dot Matrix mini roller coaster. Okay. In the back left-hand corner, there's Gus's Galaxy Grill, which, if you're a true Spaceballs fan, you know that's from the very end of it when they're all sitting in the diner. The name of it is Gus's Galaxy Grill. So they're bringing that in.
Don't order the special.
Don't order the special.
Don't do it.
But there will be a lot of movie props back in that show, or back in that restaurant. Yes. Because Florida is so hot, there is a giant fire hydrant with water that sprays out of it, which is the Barf's fun zone. So if you want to cool down a little bit, you can run through that because he's a Mog. He likes what dogs like, so he likes the fire hydrant. So there's a little of that. And then last but not least, and this is the one that could be the most exciting one ever, Yogurt's Temple. It's going to be a slow log flume ride with a whole bunch of little druids. Hold on, I'm trying to find, darn it. In all different scenes, and the whole time they're playing this song.
The whole time. Okay.
The whole time. Yes.
Can you just put this on repeat for the rest of the podcast?
Wouldn't that be amazing?
It wouldn't.
If we could.
We'd lose everyone. We'd lose
would.
everyone we have. So there's a lot of stuff to digest out of that. It just sounds. I mean, now we're forced with the choice of, do we go to Harry Potter World? Do we go to Galaxy's Edge? Do we go to Spaceballsiverse or Spaceballs the park? Right.
Spaceballs the park. Yes. Spaceballs the theme park.
Right.
So yes, so that is very exciting news. I'm some people have even taken pictures. If you go onto the old interweb, they started building the dome already. There's just an 8-foot privacy fence, but behind it you can see the glass dome being built. It's actually being built by the guys who were on that aquarium TV show on Animal Planet. I don't know if you guys ever saw it or not, but those guys, ATF Aquariums, are the ones that are actually building this $100 million roof. So it's going to be pretty amazing. Yes.
It's amazing, man. A lot of crazy stuff. I do want to just shift back because we do have some chatter going on out there. I understand, Eric, you did have some like intel on some of the direction going into Spaceballs to the search for more money.
Spaceballs the smartphone is in the chat. Somebody wrote that about the 5G. They're coming out with the Spaceballs the smartphone.
I love it. A prepaid. Yeah, only Spaceballs would have Spaceballs. I love it. That's great.
Well, yes. With my my extensive history within the industry,
yes,
I gotta grip it, man.
Right.
I'm not quite entirely sure what a grip does, but I'm sure you do.
Well, as the assistant to the grip, yes,
one would.
The key grip, I know plenty.
Not just any old grip.
The key grip, yeah. But we're not here to talk about gripping. We're here to talk about Spaceballs.
You're right.
Correct.
Continue.
And what came out just in conjunction with this giant announcement was a little bit of detail about the actual crew making this film. We have confirmation that the one, the only, Mel Brooks will be involved with the. Of course, we all know.
I
Mel
would.
Brooks.
I mean, I would be so very upset otherwise.
Right. Yes.
But it is weird because as I'm young comparatively speaking, but as I'm going, I'm like, man, Mel Brooks is getting pretty old. He's got to get going on this pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
Right. There have been rumors for years that he's been working on it, but what really pushed him over the edge, he said in an interview recently, is his old pal George Lucas, who has been hired on as the official director of the film. Wow. And because Mel's having a little trouble with the script, he hasn't been writing as much lately. He's not in tune with what the young people say when they're in love. So he hired the best dialogue man he knows, George Lucas, to complete the love scene dialogue Apparently, there's some new characters that we're going to work in. I'm sure that we can further explore the love story of Lone Star and Princess Vespa. We've got a lot of fertile ground here, but we really need the best
Sure.
when it comes to that.
So we're kind of in the wild speculation part of this, which is why I love the kind of transition you gave us there, Eric. With the inclusion of George Lucas, because I got to say, when the prequels came out, I was like a teenager, late 90s, early 2000s. I was in, the prime of my hormonal change, right? So the romance scenes really stuck out to me as a kid. You think about, Anakin and Natalie Portman's character. Amidala. For whatever reason, I'm on my second glass of Banthamilk, by the way. It's first day of spring break for Mr. Spear and I here, so here we go.
Oh, all right.
But it really reminds me of my budding romance as a child and how I thought about sand that's rough and coarse and it gets everywhere. So I don't know. I just think it's a smart choice. But you got to think about, like, is there going to be a time jump, right? Because if we think there's going to be a time jump, we got to think about where it left us off, right? Because it left us off with Lone Star, the prince, right? He was a prince. We found out at the end of the movie, marrying the princess of Druidia. Now we know, unfortunately, King Roland has passed at this point, so we can only assume that Lone Star is now king of Druidia. And how is that going to affect the relationship that he has with Princess Vespa? Because there's got to be a real power struggle there.
Yeah, I think the first thing that he would have done was change the combination on the roof, because it was a very difficult combination to start with. I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You are. I mean, if he had any brains at all, that would definitely be number one priority.
Yes, that's the number one priority, is making.
He changed it to password.
He digitized it and changed it to password.
I love it.
So that's got to be the first thing that happens. After that, I mean, you got to.
So our friend Socks in the chat does mention they must have kids, and we did talk earlier about the rumors of a possible Ben Solo-like relationship. And again, Mel Brooks kind of has his thumb on the pulse that is parody of film, right? So I'm sure he's been watching not only Star Wars, because we are a Star Wars podcast, but that's not all that's represented in Spaceballs, right? We've had Godzilla vs. Kong come out recently, which is ripe for some parody. I mean, you could also bet that he might kind of whirl in some Marvel stuff, because Marvel started going into the science fiction with the inclusion of different galaxies and stuff. So we might see some parody of Marvel going on in the Mel Brooks universe, which I'm pretty excited for.
Yes, I agree. He said he in '87 when he made this that
that's when I was born, by the way.
There you go. He I might have seen it in the theater actually. That he needed to parody space movies because he had already parodied westerns and then he had already parodied horror movies. So the next thing for him obviously would be to start parodying, superhero movies. So why not incorporate some superheroes into Star Wars and really mix it all up and combine it all together? So if there's ever a movie for him to do it, it would have to be Spaceballs 2. So maybe there's this sick love triangle between, Lone Star, Princess Vespa, and then maybe some space superhero comes in and steals Vespa away. I'd
like to think that if the social lessons of the 21st century have taught us anything, we'll see a little more inclusion of the LGBT plus community as well as others, right? So the Spaceballs was a product of its time. I would like to see Spaceballs 2, A Search for More Money,
Baby Yogurt,
be a product of ours time as well. Baby Yogurt. We definitely need a baby yogurt.
Socks in the chat said we need a baby yogurt.
Mel Gibson, I said. Mel Brooks is leaving money on the table if he does not come out with a baby yogurt sometime in the next 4 to 8 minutes. It has to happen.
It has to happen.
So I think it was a flurry of news today. I do want to just go ahead and talk a little bit about the predecessor to this amazing Spaceballs II, The Search for More Money, which is Spaceballs. I've got a list of just some of the most ludicrous moments from Spaceballs, and maybe we can talk about them, think about maybe where they might lead us with Spaceballs 2, right? So I do just want to start with we're going to start with number 9, because why not? Beyond Warp Speed. So we got to start with ludicrous speed, right? They're clearly leaning into this. This is one of the most beloved jokes from the entire series, the ludicrous speed. We know we've got confirmation that we're getting some ludicrous speed going on in Spaceballs, the theme park, right? So the ludicrous speed scene, I mean, going to plaid, I never understood that as a kid. I didn't know what plaid was when I was 5 or 7 years old watching this movie. And that's one of the beautiful things about being a older millennial watching Spaceballs, is because every time you watch it, you find another thing that you were like, oh, I didn't get that as a kid. Right? It's just a beautiful thing. Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say, the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars can actually be seen in the original Spaceballs movie. It makes a cameo appearance at the very end in the exterior shot of the space diner. It can be spotted parked there among the other space vehicles. George Lucas, who is going to be writing all of the love scenes for the next movie, got a chance to read the screenplay before production began and loved it so much that he decided to have his special effects company, Industrial Light and Magic, help make the movie. So he had a tie into the first one, and now Mel Brooks went back to him, as Eric reported to us, and will be having a bigger role in the second one here, because, you know, who not to think of when you think of love scenes? George Lucas is the master of love scenes. So it makes perfect sense. So I just wanted to throw that out there when you're doing your facts. Nick, go ahead.
Listen, man, I love it all. Now I don't want to get ahead of myself, right? Because it's still early in the filming process, right? But I do have some word that we might. You mentioned this love triangle. There is some scuttlebutt on the internet that they are going to be injecting a third into this love triangle between Lone Star and Princess Vespa. There's no word yet on the character itself, but there is word on a rumored actress to be involved in this love triangle, and that is Sofia Coppola. Right? There is definite possibility that Sofia Coppola will be involved in the love scenes that George Lucas decides to write for us. So again, Sofia Coppola, obviously one of the greats of love scenes in cinematic history.
Yes.
So again, big news coming out of Hollywood today.
Huge news.
I don't know if Eric, if you had gotten any inside grip information on that, but Godfather 3 is obviously among the greatest of cinematic triumphs in our time.
Well, true. I mean, and being the third in a series, it really, I mean, that there's that little like 3 synergy going on as well. Sure. I hadn't heard that fact, actually. That
now
was
you have.
Right.
But in today's changing blogo Spaceballs-osphere, like I said, I try not to get. Rob and I make great strives on this podcast to not be another one of those clickbaity podcasts that throws every rumor out there without any sort of, we're right. Hard-hitting news. The
we do lots of research.
Here. Yep. And at the end of the day, live long and prosper. Anyway, we're moving on to number 8 in our most ludicrous moments, which was obviously the "Hello, My Baby" scene. Right now, I'm a huge proponent of nerd tattoos. I've got a Millennium Falcon on my left arm. I've got the Deathly Hallows on my right. The guy who does all my tattoos, Doc Doherty, out in New Jersey. I might have to see him sometime soon, because recently he had some flash tattoo of the little alien dude with "Hello, My Baby" around him, and I might just have to get that because it's just the most perfect tattoo I've ever seen. But that scene sticks out in my mind. There are 2 things I think of when I hear that song, and that's Looney Tunes and Spaceballs. That freaking little frog always freaked me out as a kid, just like this little alien did. And that is definitely a ludicrous moment.
Now, ironically, Eric was telling me off camera, but he told me that he has that movie prop from when he was on the set.
The little alien.
The little alien guy, yeah.
Well, I mean, I may have exaggerated. I don't have the alien, but I have the hat.
Oh,
Wow.
even better. Very cool. Very, very
Just
cool.
the hat. I mean, it did come separate because they had to add it on after he
Well,
came
he has
out.
to hold it, and you do see in that scene. It's great puppetry, by the way. I am always, like we mentioned earlier, a big proponent of the practical effects versus the CGI. And there is a small bit of CGI in Spaceballs, but they made great use of practical effects. And you do see him put that hat on his head after he pops out, which does beg the question: where did the hat come from? Right? So it's possible that this little alien is Schwartz sensitive and conjured this hat out of nothing. Right?
Correct. He could have. And the cane, too. Didn't he have a cane in his other hand?
He did have a cane. That's right.
Yeah. So
Again, I don't want to don my tinfoil hat too much, but
yeah.
Now you couldn't get a hold of the cane, Eric?
No. One of the other assistants grabbed the cane, and I know it went on eBay for it sold recently for about $100,000.
Wow.
I still have the hat in a heavily guarded vault in Zurich.
Okay. That's a good place for it because if it was just in your house, somebody definitely would break in and try to steal it. Because
they do all the time.
Yeah.
Sure. Now remind me, that's in the Science Fiction Hats and Miniatures archive in Zurich, correct?
Yes, the large collection that I own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The world famous collection of science fiction.
The world famous Eric Johnson collection of
it also,
science
from what I understand, it also has the very tip of E.T.'s finger, the glowing part in it.
I recently sold that to pay the electric bill on the vault because it's quite extensive, and also because the tip of the finger didn't really fit with the hat idea.
Okay. Yeah.
It was the only non-hat item that I had.
Wow.
And
okay.
Only because E.T. gave it to me himself.
Right. So you have a quite extensive collection of miniature hats that you have in this from science fiction, from all the movies that you've worked on in Zurich, locked up in this. That's awesome. That's very awesome. Maybe one of these days you can take us on a tour of all of your miniature hats. That would be pretty cool.
I'll take you on the corporate jet.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
So Ears Up can just send that on to PHL for us. We'll drop in our limo. Number 7 in our list here. Please be kind. Rewind. Right. The most hallowed breaking of the fourth wall the 80s ever gave us. Our scene with Dark Helmet and Colonel Sanders viewing the movie in real time. I just want to point out that as I mentioned the fact that these two are viewing the movie in real time, and you can roll back the tape later, Eric and Rob took a simultaneous sip literally at the same time. They just went boom right here. It was beautiful. Couldn't have even set it up better myself. But again, a pretty brave decision early on maybe not early on in filmmaking, but the 80s didn't break. I guess we have Ferris Bueller not too far off from here breaking the fourth wall. So big fan of the 80s trend of breaking the fourth wall and treating us like we are the moviegoers that we are.
So I have a personal connection to that particular scene. While Eric was on the set during that time, my personal connection, when I was going to college in the early 90s, this was before the internet was anything that it is today. I was in a TV and film class, and we had to do research on different directors and stuff like that. And after watching this movie numerous times already, I knew about this scene. So I wanted to do my research paper on Mel Brooks. So for me to find the research, there you go, of other Mel Brooks movies, I watched Spaceballs and paused it when they got to this scene with all of the video clips, because I knew all of the videos that were on the back shelf were all other Mel Brooks movies. Wow. So I paused it, looked at the TV, and wrote down all of the other Mel Brooks movies, because there was no such thing as IMDb at the time. So in reality, Spaceballs was the original IMDb as well. So
that's true. It was its own archive. Wow.
Yes.
I do know that we have some younger folk that watch us and listen to us. I want to make sure you understand the plight. You might hear people talk of walking uphill both ways in the snow to school. This is the equivalent of that for
yes.
Early adulthood in the 90s, right? And sometimes research is hard, and Rob proved to us that you can get things done even without the internet. So thank you, Rob, for that.
That's right. Because I mean, yep, you're not going to the library and looking up Mel Brooks movies. There's no other place to do it. It was that, or go to Blockbuster Video, and then you still didn't know if you got all the Mel Brooks. What's that?
What? Blockbuster?
Yeah. Oh, see, that's another thing. You got to watch that documentary. That's really good.
That's good. Man, I remember. Isn't there the last Blockbuster somewhere out there still functioning?
There's one in Oregon still going on. Right. Yes. There was one. There were 3 in Alaska and then 1 in Oregon. And there's a documentary. I don't know which of the streaming services it's on, but there's a documentary about the last Blockbuster. And it's a really, really good documentary. So you have to watch it. I was thoroughly impressed and enjoyed the whole thing. There's a lot of famous celebrities who started out their movie careers by working in a Blockbuster. That was the start of their movie careers, was just because they were in a Blockbuster.
I mean, you figure you need a job to break you into the film industry. What is a more accessible job than that?
Right. Either working at a movie theater or working at a Blockbuster.
I would assume that Eric, in his eventual, kind of tango to get to his position as assistant to the key grip, he had to have worked at either a Hollywood Video or a Blockbuster of some sort.
I mean, no, Blockbuster came along. It actually was a Family Video. Family Video, the name of the store. And that came along after I directed Godfather 4.
Wow. The search for even more money, I assume.
Never released.
Never released. Not even on
DVD. They didn't have straight to DVD back then, so
no,
it's a bummer.
It went straight to the garbage at that point. They
That's
didn't, they didn't release it at all. That's a shame.
It was old year. We just burned the film.
Oh,
yeah. Well, listen. Some years you got to make it work, right? Red Mango Reviews continuing. Yogurt home shopping, right? And we're gonna get to see some of these, items, hopefully at the Spaceballs the gift shop, right? We have Spaceballs the flamethrower, Spaceballs the breakfast cereal, Spaceballs the toilet paper, Spaceballs the toilet. If you look in the background, you can see Spaceballs the plates, right? So I'm really interested to see the sort of merchandising we can get out of this, especially since, here's an interesting fact, that joke had a double meaning as it referenced the stipulation by George Lucas that the parody could not sell any merchandise.
No way.
Right? So as a stipulation for this to happen, George Lucas said, merchandising's my thing. You can't go in here. It'll be interesting to see now that George Lucas has joined in with this venture. I mean, if you have the raw cult personality that is Spaceballs with the merchandising prowess that is George Lucas, this could be the biggest merchandising hit since those little dinosaurs from Jurassic Park that could actually rip off pieces of each other's skin.
Yes. I mean, I just can't wait for Halloween this year when you have all kinds of kids running around with their Lord Helmet, Dark Helmet, Giant Helmet Halloween costumes that pop up and go down. It's going to be amazing. So
Ben Lone Star.
Ben Lone Star. Yes,
That's
son
right.
Ben Lone Star.
That's right.
Do you have more fun facts for us over there?
Skipping forward because there are just so many things I can catch here. The stunt doubles. We got to talk the stunt doubles. That scene, it sticks out to me. It's so because I was young when I watched Spaceballs, right? It hit me as so disturbing to see these other things, right? And again, Princess Vespa had long, kind of disheveled hair, and I think if I'm looking at this picture correctly, I think the stunt double smoking a cigar. I could be wrong.
Yes, he is. Yep. And it's a guy.
It's just close enough, but it really it messed with my perceptions as a kid. But oddly enough, you can see during one other scene, because there is a scene where Lone Star does a backflip during his battle with Dark Helmet later on, and you can see that is actually Lone Star's stunt double. It's the same guy doing that backflip right there, right? So interesting bit of Star Wars trivia for you.
Yeah, all the stunt doubles were really great. Yeah, from what they told me, they got paid a lot more than the main actors in the film. But I mean, I was just assistant to the key grip. I was fairly gullible back then.
Who
He had to
was
have at least
who
have
was
a 7 or 8 figure salary on that key grip assistant to the role, right?
Oh,
Who was
no. The assistant to the key grip gets paid in bagels.
Oh,
I love
nice.
bagels. Listen, I'm a Jersey guy. You give me bagels, and I'm a happy dude.
Who was the nicest person on the set when you were working there?
The hologram of Dom DeLuise.
That makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Most holograms that I have encountered in my life have been remarkably friendly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Surprising amount of stock phrases that they had programmed into him, but I sat and talked to him all night.
There you go. That's nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Cool.
I do want to end this most ludicrous Spaceballs moment list with what, again, redmangareviews.com has listed as their number one. And I agree, it's a pretty ludicrous moment. When we finally get the climactic emotional moment of this movie, right? It all builds to that moment where we find out the really deep connection that Dark Helmet has with Lone Star. When we find out that he is his father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
Correct.
And I don't think any of us really saw that coming
No.
when the movie started. If you rewatch it now, again, it's been out for what, 30 years or so now. If you rewatch it, Mel Brooks definitely left some breadcrumbs in there, and there are a few red herrings about their relationship. But it's really poetic the way it kind of lays out there. Especially, if it was his father's brother's nephew's, niece's former roommate, it might have one bit of connotation, but the artistic decision they made to go with father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate, I think, really adds weight to the whole
totally,
issue itself.
yeah.
Especially in a 2021 post-COVID world.
Oh yeah. I mean, just seeing that connection there, like once they realize that, it's huge. It's so I think the more you think about it, you got to think to yourself, how many of those relationships do you have that you don't know about?
Probably a lot.
Oh, that's deep. Okay.
Yeah, I think Spaceballs 2 is really going to change the film scene and change the way we perceive filmmaking in general. I'm pretty excited to see what they can do with it, especially after the Snyder cut that we got recently. Again, our friend Socks over there talked about getting the Brooks cut, and there has been some kind of just internet chatter about the Brooks cut of Spaceballs 1. I know that it was a weird time for filmmaking. It was a weird time in America, the 1980s. I mean, you had Flock of Seagulls out there going crazy. So it's really tough to say, but the world's different today, and I think we can see a different Spaceballs coming at us.
Yes, I agree. 100%. I got a couple of fun facts real fast. We're going on almost an hour now, so I don't think we really need to stretch this out any longer. We got all the important stuff out there about Spaceballs 2 being released very soon.
The search for more money.
The search for more money, and the Spaceballs, the theme park coming out, which 2 huge drops right there, which will be amazing. Eric has been filling us nonstop with facts about his time on the show, insider information. It's been he's been a wealth of knowledge that he's been giving us. It's been amazing. But I want to add, talking about the late great John Candy. They talk about one of the fun facts is that a full face makeup or mask resembling a wrinkled bulldog was originally constructed for the character of Barf. But Mel Brooks quipped, is what it says here on the IMDb fun facts and stuff like that, that if they were going to hide John Candy behind a mask, he might as well hide someone else for half the price.
That's
a nose and upper lip piece was tried next, which Candy approved, but again, Brooks did not. They finally settled on the animatronic ears connected to a hairpiece, the small nose application, and a patch over one eye, just like the dog Petey from the R Gang shorts. So I really thought it was cool that Mel Brooks was like, look, I got John Candy. I'm paying for John Candy. I want to see John Candy. So it's pretty cool that he did that.
I was pretty young in the 80s when John Candy was kind of in his prime, but here I am in my mid-30s wishing we got more and more John Candy. He was just so amazing. We've been kind of silly most of this podcast. But anyway, he really was fantastic. And it would have been great to see where his career could have gone.
Yes.
But yeah, it does kind of remind me of Rob. You mentioned about one of the fun trivia facts about little baby Grogu and they wanted to do a little CGIing with him, and they were like, no, you do it with the practical stuff. And again, it's the same thing. We don't need all this stuff. John Candy did everything he needed to. It wasn't exactly the most, Academy Award worthy role of his career, but it got the job done.
It was a great job that he did anyway. And last but not least, my last fun fact, and then we know Eric has to get back to the set of Spaceballs 2, so we don't want to keep him much longer. And he can't really tell us much about Spaceballs 2 because he has all this insider information. But I do want to say,
all over the place, I'm sure. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this will be sold in the Spaceballs gift shop, Spaceballs the gift shop. But the cereal box for Spaceballs, the breakfast cereal, on the box, if you look at it, it says it contains 100% sugar. So, that will be sold in its true form in the movie in the theme park as well. So if you see any kids running around with Spaceballs of cereal and they're eating it, you know that they're pretty much just eating pixie sticks.
Listen, Rob, if I go to Harry Potter World, I want a butterbeer. If I go to Spaceballs the theme park, I want Spaceballs the cereal. All right,
that's right.
Give it to me like it was meant to, like the audience and the filmmakers intended. All right, it's just
correct.
I'm really excited. This opens up an entire world. Now, listen, Socks mentioned Uncle Buck, one of my favorite movies of all time. Let's start. Maybe tomorrow, Rob. Maybe we'll do a Uncle Buck podcast.
There we go. Or even one of my favorite John Candy lines is from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles when they're driving the wrong way on the street. And they're like, "You're going the wrong way," and he's like, "How do they know where we're going?" I was just like, "Oh my god, what a great line!" So,
man,
all right.
so much news today. I want to thank Eric for joining us. Eric,
yes,
you've been a wealth of information and knowledge, and you've got a beautiful, deep, dulcet tone in your voice. So I just appreciate you whenever you're on here. Please check out the Supreme Resort. Right, they are our buddies and our comrades.
And also, while we're talking about Spaceballs, a theme park, Eric Johnson works for a company called Concierge.
That's right.
Ears,
yes.
Ears
with an S, Concierge, which will help you plan your vacation to Disney and also Universal. Do you also work with Universal as well?
We work with Universal as well, so we'll get you set up for Spaceballs, the theme park.
Yes, so you can hook up, check out Eric over at Concierge, and when you're ready for your trip to Disney World or Disneyland or Universal and go to Spaceballs, the theme park, think of Eric Johnson when you're doing that, and Concierge. So throw that out there for you, Eric. That guy over there.
Yeah,
please make sure you check us out, man. We're really excited. There's a lot of new stuff coming out in Star Wars world, right? We obviously most of what we're going to be doing from here on out in 2021 will be about Spaceballs, but we do want to still continue our here and there coverage on Star Wars, and we did hear some rumblings about a trailer come out for the Bad Batch, right? So check us out and make sure on Facebook. On Instagram, on Twitter, Banthamilk Podcast is who we are. We want to wish you all a merry April 1st. It's been such a fabulous day for all of us here at Banthamilk headquarters. Anything else for the greater good, gentlemen?
I don't have anything else. Eric, you want to plug anything else? You're part of 19 different things.
No, those are the main two, I should say. Supreme Resort and Concierge. Thank you, and thanks for having me. This has been a blast. As an official member of the Assistant to the Key Grip Union, make sure you tip your waiters.
That's right. That's right. And from all of us here at Banthamilk headquarters, may the Schwartz be with you.